Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Islamic Finance show where we are discussing about Islamic perspective on wealth and money. Now, what is interesting is that previous nations were also forbidden from taking riba. Okay? If you go even in the history, Shakespeare, you know Shakespeare?
Yes.
Very famous writer. He wrote a book called Merchant of Venice. Have you ever heard of that book?
No. Yes.
Yeah, Merchant of Venice. What's it about? Remember? Can you remember? It is about Europe during his time when Christians used to bring Jews in Europe amongst them to deal in riba. That time, Christians were prohibited, church prohibited interest. However, what they used to do to avoid is they would bring these Jews who, according to their interpretation, they couldn't do riba between themselves, but Jew to the Christian could do riba. Okay? So they would bring this person, Shylock, who, now these Christian society, because they are Jews, or as some people claim, anti-Semitic, but because of these action of money lending, okay, these people, Christians, would used to hate them. And this is a book, it's like a window in that society, how much this riba was hated. And these bankers of the time were hated. However, there were some necessities and things that were happening in the background where they would make a use of these things. So he's writing a book about this money lender who, if you cannot repay riba, he would take pound of your flesh. So it does very ugly description in Europe. Where did these people get? So if you go to the Old and New Testament, you will find so many of these references where it says, do not be like a money lender, charge him no interest, and so on. Even in the Old Testament, the word ribit was used. I mean, how much more clear you want to get? The word ribit. It is obviously what we are talking about. And in Europe, in the 12th century, Pope Alexander III used to excommunicate usurers. You know, excommunicate, takfir. Allah, no more. Finish. You are no more. That's it. You are into usury. You are done. And in 1317, the Council of Vienna also excommunicated these people. So what happened? How did we end up, Europe, all of these Western nations, that they're so free with riba? Well, how did they do it? Remember what we said. They separated usury from interest. Halal and haram. So they made themselves permissible something. Okay? Look at this particular statement in the Bible, Matthew 12:13. Who can read us this? Yep.
And Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers.
Just look at that statement. Just stop there for a second. He overthrew the tables. So Jesus, peace be upon him, is going into the mosque, or what they call temple, and he's looking what's happening with these people. What are these people doing? And he taking tables and kicking them out. Get lost. As some would say, he's enforcing Sharia. Isn't he supposed to be loving, nice, and peace and everything? But we see here, he's taking this stand against these people who would think, what is going on? Is this really, like, are you playing some games? What's going on? And if you go to see what happened here, you find that these people used to come from Europe and other places to make pilgrimage, like Hajj. And their coins were silver shekel coins, you know. So at that time, pagan Europe and all of these other places, they would have these symbols of pagan gods and things like that. So these Muslims, of course, Muslims, when they come to pay tax, they didn't want to pay tax using pagan money. So they come to these people and say, can you just swap my silver for your silver? Silver for silver. So these people knew that they have upper hand now. Okay, you need me. So they started charging a lot more for changing silver for silver. And this is what you will see later. We will discuss this riba al-fadl, unequal amounts and so on. So they were taking advantage. And what it says here, you have made this den of thieves. So he threw them out. So what would he do with now Wall Street bankers. If you see what...
Topple them over.
You know, many people think capitalism, Christianity, it's like, you know, because this is a media kind of project, or like if Jesus here, he would, you know, like embrace capitalism or something. SubhanAllah, this is completely false understanding. He would refuse, as some of the even Christians say, he would refuse to be part of a system. And we see here why. Okay, so that is very interesting. Now, we see even with all the attacks from Vatican and challenges that we see all the time and things, during the financial crisis, their official newspaper was quoted as saying, statement from Vatican, that says these ethical principles on which Islamic finance is based may bring bank closer to their clients and to the true spirit which should mark every financial transactions. Okay, so if this is true, why you are not doing it yourself? You know, you have a huge bank, everybody else there. How come only we are fighting this evil in society? You know, I was once having the lecture at university, one of the universities, and while I was waiting there, we had one night, had to sleep in apartments. So I was sharing room with very, very old Christian professor. Actually, he started one of the university in 70s. So imagine how old is he? Mm-hmm. And while we sit together, he asked me, what you do? And I say, I teach Islamic finance. And he says, oh, really? He says, I'm working now on Christian economic book. I say, wow, let's sit. Let's make a tea and talk. You know, I'm never seen a Christian who is really like trying something. And I said, we started discussing. And what was clear to me is that they surrendered themselves to the economists. They can't seem to make an argument because they don't know even how to explain this particular verse. What is the problem with this? What is this? You know, they know usury, they're mixing it up. And, you know, there are some verses, for example, I was recently reading from the Bible, somebody sent me the link, and then compare one verse in 16 different versions of the Bible. And it says, do not charge him interest on money and interest on food. For example, they don't know what it means. They can't explain it. And we will see later that interest is not only on monetary asset, it's also referred to certain commodities and how they are exchanged. So we are very, very fortunate, blessed, that Allah gave us the rules that are very deep. We can clearly have types of riba, where they relate. And you will see that, unlike some other people, we can take economists or anybody heads on. We can take them directly on a challenge and discuss these things with full confidence in what we are talking about. Okay, so inshallah, after the break, we are going to continue this interesting discussion about riba. Welcome back. We are talking about riba and historical prohibition of this very evil practice. Now, just before the break, we were discussing how previous nations were also prohibited from practicing riba. In fact, if you go throughout the history, even those philosophers who were just relying on their own reason, like for example Aristotle, used to say that this is the type of earning that is the worst type of earning. However, we have, unfortunately, amongst us, Muslims, after all of this history and everything, some of these philosophers who try to do what Christians did with their riba, and that is to make it halal by separating it, arguing if it is commercial loan, then it is fine, it is not oppression, if it is for this, then it is. I mean, all of these logic, all of these use to go against clear prohibition. And so when we look at even those people of the Jahiliyyah, look at the people of the Jahiliyyah. You know the story when they were rebuilding Kaaba, what happened. You remember? You remember that one of the sides was lower. They did not have money to finish and build Kaaba properly. Why is that?
Because it was used in all halal, they were using all money which was cleansed, purified money.
So imagine, these people knew that we can't use riba money and haram money to build this holy place. So they knew what is riba, what is not, what is halal. Yet today we have some Muslims who are worse than these people. Yet we call these people people of Jahiliyyah. And these are thinkers, or what they call them, think tank, philosophers and whatever. So this is amazing. This is amazing. This just shows how low we sink in our understanding, of reality. So, all right, so let's look at a couple of, some of the wisdom that scholars, when they analyze reasons, see behind the prohibition of the riba. So some of the wisdom. So number one, it goes against mutual cooperation, generosity and spirit of partnership. If you go to any culture, recently I was listening very interesting discussion about Venice, and it was talking about from Venice to Spain to all of these countries in the past when they were having trade and participation and sharing of wealth with the people who could do trade. So they were mixing people, and the wealthy would give them money to do the trade, and there was a partnership, and the Venice and all of these cities were growing exponentially. I say, even when I look at these, this is what we call musharaka, I say, they have a name, I said, subhanAllah, look, entire civilization transformed because those people with money were giving that money to those entrepreneurs who were doing the trade, and you see the name, unknown people surface becoming part of the wealthy elite and so on, until the time when they say, we don't want this anymore. We're going to now just give money as a loans. They stopped that progress of the society. They wanted to limit how many people come into the elite. Became like a club. And what they wanted to do is extract work and everything from people, but not sharing fully rewards. Because when you're a partner, I will work more if I have more incentive to get reward, yes? Mm-hmm. So my talent, my energy, everything will come in truth more. So this is what we see sometimes even today, venture capitalism, okay, or these seed investment, angel investment, what they call. Most of these, let's look at the tech companies. They started because somebody gave some seed money, and then, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Google, or whatever idea, and the money and everything became huge force. Forget what is sometimes projected on these websites. But look at how much revenue this is generating, jobs, billions of people benefit, and so on. Now, how does that come? Even until today, this is mainly financed through these sort of partnership-based profit and loss schemes. So when you have a riba that is purely that instrument, it goes against this growth. And if we want to have a growth in our countries or around the world, where the youth can participate, idea can be developed, we need to be able to bring youth with energy and ideas and also money plus experience of the other people and mix this for a mutual benefit. So some of these people who are maybe rich, they have maybe some wisdom, they can share it and use the energy and ideas of you. Okay? Recently I was looking at some example. Most of you know YouTube.
Yes.
Okay? Now, we know there is heaps of rubbish on YouTube. Forget it for a side. Just look at it from a business, how this thing happens. You know that who bought YouTube? Remember? Google. How much they paid?
Billions.
Yeah, about between 1 and 2 billion. I can't remember now. Maybe 1.5. Let's round it. What's a couple hundred million? Let's round it 2 billion. Okay? Now, do you know how many people made YouTube? How many people? They were 3 friends. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, one of these, his name, from the memory, something like Javad or something. I think he was from like Sri Lanka or something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, his parents work, I think, in Germany. Now, I'm not sure if he's a Muslim or not. Just name sounds like one of our names, No idea, but it's relevant for this story. Mm-hmm. What's the point here? He had idea, one guy, and he had these 2 friends. Okay? One is, I think, Chinese, and another one, I don't follow these things, so just come across in one of the magazines about this. So this guy had idea, you know what? It would be great if we could share videos on a website and people can watch. So he uploaded first clip, him in the zoo, okay, doing something, they was maybe monkey or something, I don't know. Now he shared his idea with his friends. He said, this is a great, we need this and that. So they, three of them together, started this YouTube. It was about pizza shop, okay? And they started doing these sorts of things. But, it's a tough, you need money, you need support, you need encouragement. Maybe he's a clever guy, this guy, but without money and all of these things, it doesn't work. It doesn't run on empty. You need money for service, money for this, and then your parents tell you need to go to college, you need to do this. He was under the same pressure, this guy. Nobody to believe in him, nobody to support him. Was his idea great?
Yes.
Very commercially viable idea. You know what happened with him? He left. There was nobody to stand by him and encourage him, explain, mentor him, and provide him this financial means so he can focus on this. Now he left this idea, YouTube. Soon after that, these two guys continued with the idea, and they sold it for $2 billion. Okay? Now, what did they do? They say, well, you did something. I mean, you did everything, but, we sold it. So, as a thank you note, we give you 60 million. 60 million. What is 60 million compared to 2 billion? Nothing. He got the idea. Now, the point here is that they were nice. Some other people might not give anything, But now these guys, this is now much more than $2 billion company. Okay, so what are we saying here? How did this come to be? Through investment capital, through somebody giving money, somebody mixing idea. Now, unfortunate story is this guy dropped out because not having access to all of these things. He is the one guy who missed big time. Okay, now we said, in the Muslim world, what did we say? How many Muslims are youth? What did we say? We said between 15 and 29 years, we have 500 million Muslims. How many are like this guy? How many in this 500 million are like this guy? With the idea, with brilliance, intelligence, but nobody to trust, to believe, to support, to do anything for him. 500 millions. 500 millions youth. Now, if you support somebody like this, who you support? You support millions of others, because he will, this is what they call definition of clever, is he provides disproportionate amount of value. As a person, there is amount of value you should normally provide. But clever people provide so much value, it's beyond, it's disproportionate. So these people are what we call talented people. Now connect them with the money. And we have money. We have resources. Now we need to find these people, connect them, and employ. They will solve your crisis. They will create manufacturing. They will create service. All of these sectors. And so many cases like this. And so many youth like this. Now this will not work if we have a riba. Because there is no incentive. There is nothing. Only work with real partnership. Connecting idea and capital and so on. So this is what we're saying. Riba goes against this spirit of generosity, cooperation and partnership. And it leads to acquisition of property by wrongful means. And it can lead to harm to the needy. Okay, and as a Sharia, we said it wants to remove any possibility for injustice. Now, if the capital owner can earn money by just giving money and being able to demand profit regardless of what's happened to you, do you think capital owner will be more likely to invest in ventures like this? Or what is secured, put it in a bank?
Secure.
Why would I bother with these things?
Because there's no benefit for him.
I don't want to risk anything. So we become people then who are scared of any risk. Of course, any businessman knows, I invest 10 people like this, one maybe, but that one, huge, big time. We're not talking about huge amount. You see, when Facebook was sold, you know, it was valued at $100 billion. $100 billion recently in NASDAQ. Now the shares went a little bit down and speculations and all of these things, and you know, but we're talking about billions of dollars. How much it took them to build it? What is it? It's a website connecting billions of people. All right? So this is the stuff we are talking about. This is that entrepreneurship. This is what we want to see. How else these people going to integrate? We have to create stuff. We have to create part of economy that was not there before. Look at Apple, for example. If they didn't invent iPhone, iPad, Mac, I mean, 80% of the revenue that they drive, that they make, is from the products that were developed 5 years ago. And we still live in history, in the past. We have to be now. What you going to do now? What you're going to make now that will generate jobs, raise unemployment, have sense of confidence. Because you know what's happening with the people who win, who are able to win and do all of these things. They interestingly become very generous. You know, unlike those people who are not able to win, they don't have this opportunity. They become people who are blaming each other. You know, always somebody else's responsibility. They don't want to take ownership of any problem. They make excuses. So these people then, by taking on a risk, they develop certain resilience. So even if I fail in some ventures, I get up, take a new one. And this is what this sharing, risk sharing, teach you. And because now we are so risk averse, majority of the businesses fail because we didn't get used to managing these things and the risk and taking new entrepreneurship ventures and so on. So this is what we see, that we don't want to drive capital owners away from enterprise and real economic activities. We don't want to drive them just because there is easy option out, put it on interest. Because if we do that, who will contribute to the welfare of society? Through commerce, manufacturing, construction and so on. Who will do that? When these people graduate for school and search jobs and everything is full. You know, if we are just having the pie this big and everybody is already eating that pie and there is another hundreds of millions of people coming, what's going to happen? It's going to be a bloodbath. Bloodbath. You want to expand that, find new opportunities. You want to grow that. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. And lastly, of course, if you do trade in riba and buy and sell money, you go against nature of money, which is supposed to be, as we said, medium of exchange, and so on. So you're going against a rational, entire rational for what money is supposed to be doing. So inshallah, in the next episode, we are continuing this interesting discussion. I hope you will join me. Assalamu alaikum.